Hey there everyone, welcome back. This is Snoo. I've been wanting to come out with this video for a while. I've actually taken a break from Diablo 4 and have plenty of time to digest my feelings on it. Kind of hit a wall, so to speak. And I want to talk about my thoughts on everything Diablo 4 related, how I felt the game went. And I want to present it from the perspective of a min-maxer, I think. That way I can stay true to my roots. I also think this perspective is not represented very much in the community, in spite of the fact that a lot of streamers are min-maxers themselves. I just see a lot of people present their information one way, but then kind of tailor it for a more casual audience or the lowest common denominator. That's okay. Everyone's entitled to present their thoughts any way they wish, but definitely feel like it leaves some to be desired. I haven't seen a lot of comments that really resonated with me, so I'm gonna as far as like the way people talk about the game and how they feel about the game, yeah, there's a lot of drama going on. I mean, you got some ridiculous conversations like why do we have to recreate our character in seasons? Okay, I do think that's kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to talk about that. Of course, I'm a long-time ARPG player. I played Diablo 2, Diablo 3. I enjoyed those games very much. I moved to Path of Exile. Enjoyed that game, obviously. Most of you who are watching this probably Path of Exile players, because that is my audience, by and large. But, yeah, let's talk a little bit about Diablo 4 from a min-maxing perspective. So, what does min-maxing mean? It basically just means maximizing not the fun, but the efficiency of gameplay, which can be very fun depending on your mindset. It is certainly for me, and a lot of you who like my content, I think, can resonate with that. Minimize the downtime, minimize the inefficiency, maximize efficiency. And you'll notice that like all of my videos, almost all of my videos are tailored in this way. You know, anything that is sort of, something per hour, like currency per hour, gold per hour, legendaries per hour, EXP per hour, what have you. Any kind of those videos are basically tailored for a min-max attitude, if you will. There's all kinds of content like that. Even like this brand new only up game, speed runs and stuff. That's min-max as well. But of course, it's the ARPG game, and it's a little bit harder to define the end point. Beating the game, so to speak. There's no such thing as beating the game. I guess that's the first big point I have. What is beating the game? Some people look at Diablo or a game like this, and they actually have like in their minds, okay, this means beating the game. For some people, it's a campaign, beating the campaign. For some people, it's Uber Lilith. For me, there basically is no such thing. I'm gonna stop playing the game whenever I wake up one morning and say, you know what, I don't feel like playing today. That's what beating the game is for me, I guess. Or maybe that's the game beating me. I don't know. However you want to look at it. But I've not been interested in killing Uber Lilith. I'm basically interested in just dominating the game as much as I can. Doesn't even mean I have to do high-tier nightmare dungeons. I mean, you're probably going to do somewhat high-tier, but maybe it just means I absolutely just dominate the content, whatever content that is. And that's what you normally see me do on PoE. That's what I was doing on Diablo 4. That's what gives me my kicks. In this case, I'm playing a Whirlwind Barb, spinning to winning, just absolutely shredding the enemies, making quick work of the dungeon. That's fun. That's kind of fun for me. Granted, Nightmare Dungeon's a little bit on the redundant side, for sure. The point is, you have to have a carrot on the stick. And even though this game is simpler, I can, as somebody who min-maxes, I can definitely find creative ways to make a new carrot on a stick. Maybe I want to perfect my gear. Maybe I want to, in one case I made a video where I tried to get the highest whirlwind crits I possibly could. What did I have to do? I had to devote 3 or 4 days to that, to figuring out how to do that. And that was fun. That was a great deal of fun. So it was just something that I wanted to do, and I have no regrets doing that. And I made a whole video on it. Worked out pretty well. Gear itemization. Let's talk a little bit about that. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's a very simple system. There's some crafting involved. Obviously, nothing like PoE. But it's not too hard to get, in this case, 4 affixes that you want and imprint a perfect legendary aspect you want, to get the uniques you want, aside from the extraordinarily rare uniques, which, again, I don't really have any major comments on that. I guess I should mention you know, those uniques might as well not exist. I think they're way too overpowered anyway. They could be maybe a little bit less OP and a little bit more common. But really the big problem there is that there's no trade. And I'll talk about that in a second. In my opinion. Gear itemization is, again, pretty good. Looking through some of the gear right here. I basically have all the perfect gear that I would want, except maybe the roll ranges aren't perfect. So it's very hard to get like perfect rolls on. It's pretty easy in the long run, at least, to get the exact 4 affixes you want, but it's very difficult to get like perfectly rolled all 4 affixes. I don't think there's actually a single piece of gear that I have that is literally like perfect. Not even counting item power, at least ancestral. Of course, you know, then you know, there's definitely don't have any 820 perfect, all 4 affixes, perfectly rolled affixes, and that means I can basically never finish the game. I can never make a perfect character, and that's good. I think it's good that they leave that wide open for you to continue the chase. Now, a lot of people look at that and say, well, who cares? You know, what's the point of continuing the chase if you have, you know, all the right rolls anyway, and maybe they're not exactly perfect? What does it matter? Well, again, in the mindset of a min-maxer, that is what keeps me, or at least that may keep me fairly interested in the game. And it has definitely extended my enjoyment of the game was the itemization. I absolutely liked it. Now, what didn't help to extend my enjoyment of the game was the fact that there's almost no trade. And while rare items are best in slot for a lot of things, they're not for everything. You know, there are some unique items, and of course, trading is prohibitively difficult to do. Diablo 3 vanilla started with an auction house. It was my favorite. I think that was my favorite time playing a Diablo game ever, was the vanilla Diablo 3, and a lot of it had to do with trade. Now, I don't personally really care about auction house per se, but I definitely like a system where, you know, I might find like a best in slot item for another class, can trade it, and then grind my way to getting, I don't know, to purchase a perfect temerity pants or something. Even though that's not like in-game pants, it's certainly the pants that I'm usually wearing when I'm grinding through dungeons. That would invigorate me to grind more and want to pursue my best in slot, so to speak. It would definitely give me an avenue to get more best in slot. So like literally like perfect gear. But we can't have that because the developers decided not to make trade. So I thought it was the biggest mistake that was ever made by developers in the expansion of Diablo 3, was removing trade, normalizing gear, smart loot, all of that. And I think the worst decision that developers made in this game was continuing that trend and not having trade. This is probably the biggest thing I can say against Diablo 4, my enjoyment of it. When you're someone like me, you really like the grinding, you really trying to stay motivated. When you can't even trade anything, it just, you know, what am I grinding for? I'm just praying that I get a drop. I don't feel like I have anything I'm specifically grinding for. Even if I'm making tons of gold, I don't have anything I can spend that gold on. And while solo self-found is a thing, certainly in Path of Exile, it's not my way of playing the game. I never really felt like playing the game. I recognize that it's a thing, and a lot of people, even people like min-maxing, like playing a solo self-found style. I think it's a shame, personally, that trade doesn't exist in this game, by and large. Doesn't really. As far as gameplay, scores high marks, of course, and it's very important that a game has good gameplay, otherwise I'm not going to be that interested in doing it. I actually took a pretty easy route and decided to spin to win, as you can see. It's very smooth, very easy, very kind of honestly kind of casual gameplay, and I like it. I can just turn my brain off, and it feels good. The sound effects are terrific, of course. The animations are good. The visceralness of the combat, just like it was in Diablo 3. They did a spectacular job of it in Diablo 3. Probably even better here in Diablo 4. So that certainly helps keeping me interested in playing. If the combat itself feels really good, this is something that PoE falls short on really hard. While PoE has like the best economy trade, maybe no auction house, but at least as far as the economy, the most robust ARPG economy I've ever witnessed. You know, it's kind of vice versa here with Diablo 4. So it's interesting to see that. It's fun to actually loot things off the ground. And this is actually kind of a side effect of the fact that there's like no major crafting. In order for loot to be exciting to pick up, you can't have like a major crafting system. If your best of slot can just come from crafting something from scratch, then picking up actual gear on the ground is never going to be that exciting. I mean, it would be very difficult to have a system like that. You would just be picking up gold or currency or what have you. So yeah, very much enjoyed Hell Tides, and Nightmare Dungeons, unfortunately a bit repetitive. I actually enjoy like Hell Tides more than anything, I think. Tree of Whispers is okay, but it's not that fun. It's fun to double dip in what you're doing in the open world. But yeah, as far as like actual content is concerned, Hell Tides is my favorite thing, and that's probably because there's a timer. There's an actual timer. That's the one thing that's missing. I don't feel incredibly incentivized to be more efficient in this game. Why can't we have, for example, some sort of rampage thing? Maybe after you complete a Nightmare Dungeon, you get double loot for the next 15 minutes. Maybe you get double loot only in the open world for the next 15 minutes. Triple loot, I don't know. Some magic find thing or some major EXP buff double experience game. It's kind of weird now that we're just able to teleport to dungeons automatically. It's a bit of a side point, but I think that was a mistake in the long run. They created this beautiful, robust open world for nothing, it seems like. Why didn't they just incentivize us to stay in the open world? And go crazy with it if you have to. Imagine if you got 10 times more loot in the open world for 5 minutes after you did a Nightmare Dungeon. You would actually kill some monsters outside. You would actually want to go out there and do that. Just random idea thrown out there. I know that was a little bit of left field, but yeah. So yeah, gameplay is pretty good. Kind of talked a little bit about, Hell Tide, Nightmare Dungeons. In my opinion, having tons of endgame variety is not actually mandatory. You can have a simple game, so long as that repetitive content is not so repetitive in your mind. It's actually kind of invigorating. A lot of people really like the Rift system in Diablo 3. It's understandable. It's very smooth. Just kind of zooming straight through the Rift of the map, and it was a lot of fun. And Nightmare Dungeons, a lot of backtracking. Yeah, definitely feels like you're getting ripped out of the moment of combat more frequently as you go through that. And of course, not all the dungeons are created equal. There's a lot of balancing that needs to be done still, and they're kind of working on that. So it's still kind of early. But yeah, I don't think Endgame has to be that crazy complex. It can just be, whatever. So long as you're able to kill monsters, get loot, get gold, and you have a way you can strategize around that at least a little bit. Of course, Path of Exile does this incredibly well, which kind of leads me to the last point, which is this is a vanilla game. We'd be out of place if we were really trying to compare Diablo 4 to Path of Exile currently. In fact, it'll make a lot more sense to compare Diablo 4 to Path of Exile 2. But even that won't be fair because so many of the systems from PoE will carry over. And a lot of the league mechanics, presumably, will carry over. We need some time. We need some time to develop some new content for the seasons. And, I look at this game and I see a pretty good skeleton of a game, actually. I think the itemization, at least as far as the skeleton is concerned, the itemization is good. The combat, of course, is good. We definitely need some more new and interesting items to chase for. We need some, I'm not personally that concerned about pinnacle content, but a lot of people are. As I understand it, the Uber Lilith fight is actually a very good fight. So very well done by the devs creating that boss fight. But certainly, we need some more things to do in the dungeons or something equivalent to maps. They don't have to make Diablo 4 doesn't need to be Path of Exile 2.0, obviously, but there definitely needs to be some more invigorating stuff. These mechanics in here with the dungeon that are pretty annoying. That's fine. Some are better than others, but I see a decent skeleton of the game. Let me know if you think that's right or if you're not really thinking that right. So, in the end, final thoughts. It kind of feels like a content drought right now. Actually, it's like way too many content creators for this game. Nobody can keep, you just milk the well dry. There's just nothing left to really talk about. And the moment there was new patch notes, and literally everybody made a video about it unnecessarily. Like everyone was making a video. Oh my god, huge changes come to Diablo 4. It's like basically nothing. It's like a 5% damage increase across the board on all abilities that people generally aren't using. Okay, the feel-good patch, I guess. You know what? It's kind of weird. Like, there's just so many people playing this game, content creators, and so many people just kind of getting bored at the same time. So much repeating the same information. That's one of the reasons I haven't made any videos. Is because there's just everyone's already making tons of videos about the same thing. The drama thing. I saw like 10 different videos talking about the same drama thing. So it does seem to me it's a bit of a content drought, actually, right now. And that's to be expected. It's a vanilla game. We're waiting for a new season. You know, lots on the line for the developers. They better make a really good Season 1. Put some seriously big content in here. AAA game. Super well polished. They need to actually go the extra mile and make some major content, or they're going to lose a lot of people, including me, in the process. And I think I'm a little concerned that it's just going to be this tiny little thing, you know. Imagine like PoE's most boring league mechanic ever, or something like that. I'm afraid it's going to be something like that. I hope not, but you know, time will tell. I suspect that this game is going to actually be pretty cool in like 2 years, 2 or 3 years. They're probably going to have it, but you know, a lot of people will have checked out by then. Imagine, you know, all kinds of new season material and stuff there, and they actually do things right, itemize things. A lot of new legendaries come out. They don't totally mess up itemization by making sets that give 10,000% damage increase. We all don't want that. But yeah, also, I'm not a big fan of them rebalancing classes constantly. It really seems like they're trying to go out of their way to nuke any sort of fun. I thought one of the healthiest, one of the best things that came out recently was that Blizzsork video on Uber Lilith, killing it in like 2 minutes flat. That is the kind of thing that gets people excited to play the game. And when they go in and then they're going to go in and probably nerf that thing immediately, or if they haven't already. I didn't actually check the patch notes on that. But you rest assured that's not going to be a thing in Season 1. And I hope they don't do mid-season nerfs on cool and interesting, exciting things so that people can actually enjoy, you know, some really cool stuff that the game has to offer, new interactions. It's kind of hard to create creative builds already, so they really need to let those things slide. Whenever somebody does actually break the meta, create an interesting new build, they need to let that go. I looked at the Barbarian, a couple different things. There's some cool things maybe there, like possible tanky frenzy build or with the generator or something like that. I don't know. But as far as things to move on next to, I might be going back to Path of Exile a little bit. Maybe before we got to ExileCon. I am going to be going there, so you can see me in ExileCon. But yeah, I'm kind of looking at transitioning back to Path of Exile now, although that may have a hiccup there once the new season comes out, depending on what the season is. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Diablo 4 right now from a min-max perspective. Kind of started to lose some enjoyment in the game, to be honest. But I did hit 100, and I stayed there for a full week or so, continuing kind of min-max. It was fun for a while, but definitely looking forward to see what the developers can do as far as making new and invigorating gameplay and expanding itemization in spite of no trade. That's the one big thing, man. No trade. All right. We'll see you around. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.